Okay, so I think we're live. This is one of those like boring moments when I have to load up YouTube one more time to confirm. But yes, Akshay, we are live. We are here. It's announcement time. How's it feel?
It feels great. And
Yes.
announce. Let's get announcing.
Yes.
What are we
So,
announcing?
well, so I was kind of hoping we could sort of announce like some of these like really cool Marimo Moss Ball keyboard switches, right? Like we've been talking about that.
Vincent, we talked about this. Not
Yeah, I
not
know.
now. Not now, at least.
Yeah, okay. And then I also had the other page where we sort of finally start making our own professional gamepad with the Marimo branding. And
Vincent.
yeah, okay. We also made a conclusion that that's maybe something for another time. So instead, what we are going to do is we're going to go to marimo.io. From there, we are going to go to blog, and from there we are going to have a look at the first blog post there, which is announcing molab. Um, like this is not going to be like the biggest surprise to everyone because I'm assuming some of the people that are watching now are like in our Discord, and we gave a first hint like was it yesterday,
A
kind
few
of.
days ago, I think. A
Yeah, a
couple
few
days
days ago.
ago.
Yeah, a couple days ago, and there's also a couple of like let's call them like the hardcore inner circle fan base. They also got like access to this a bit earlier. Like we've had some trial users, but uh, the thing that I think is just really funny to point out, which is also what the blog post does, if you were to go to Google Colab, and if you were to then go to their GitHub page, you are actually going to find that the most popular feature request on Google Colab is to add Marimo support. So instead of waiting for the folks at Google to do this, we figured, well, we can also just build our own. So that's also where the name comes from, right? Like collab, and then we figured we should maybe do
Mo for
something
Marimo.
Mo for
Yes.
Marimo, and then we're gonna
Yeah.
do the Molab thing. So
Yeah.
uh,
We leaned in.
we lead in, we did the work. A few things that are good to point out is that notebook dependencies are all done with UV. So thank you for the UV maintainers. That definitely made our life easier. The persistent storage is handled by R2. People might have seen some announcements on social media as well. The Cloudflare people are like, well, please, Marimo. We're going to do a lot of work with them now. Pydantic Logfire is also something that we're definitely using, and a lot of what we do is also built on top of Modal. And we would really like to give a shout out to Eric Zhang. I'm hoping I pronounced his name correctly because he's definitely been helping out, making sure this all works. So anyway, read the blog
Yeah.
post. It's a good blog post. I'm going to share it in the YouTube comments now if people want to have a quick look. But in short, you can go to molab.marimo.io. I believe I am on a admin account, so like what you're going to see if you're going to log in for the first time is going to be a bit different. But the one thing you are going to totally see is if you were to scroll to the bottom, you are going to see like some example notebooks. But to get started, because we have a few things we want to show off, I guess we are going to start with a new notebook, right? It's
Let's
maybe a
do it.
good place to start. So stuff is still loading here. And one thing that's, I suppose, good to point out is like we're connecting to a runtime and all sorts of things, but everything on the side here is really just like Marimo. It's just a Marimo notebook that is running in the cloud. A thing you might want to do when you do this the very first time, though, is you might want to give this thing a proper name. Like we give one of those like noun dash noun dash noun kinds of names, but you might want to like give a proper name here. But everything seems to be loaded now, and I can just hit Tab, and I can hit Shift Enter, and this just goes ahead and it does as normal, kind of what you would expect.
But running in the cloud.
Yes, it's just running in the cloud. It's like one of the main things. But one thing that's also happened this week, and I do think we want to maybe showcase that, is that we added a few pretty darn cool features. And if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the thing. I think we both know what we're going to talk about first. It has to
Th-
do
th-
with the up down arrow.
this was for you, Vincent.
Yeah, I definitely. So it wasn't just me though. Like a couple of
It
people.
wasn't just you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people have been
It
asking
wasn't
about
just.
like navigation, and there's this thing that Jupyter does, which actually is a thing that I did miss a little bit. So there's this notion of being inside of a cell with your cursor, and now what you can do if you hit escape, you can be on the outside of a cell. So again, enter to go in, escape to go out, very much like Jupyter, and then you can move around. So that means that you can actually, let's zoom in just a little bit, but that means that you can actually go up cells, which is a whole lot quicker. And what's more is if you're on the outside of a cell, like we call that command, I
Command
think,
mode,
right?
yeah.
Command mode. You can hit A for above or B for below and actually make some cells there as well. What's more, you can also keep shift pressed down, and then you can select multiple cells. And you can do the click and drag thing. Oh, we don't have that implemented yet, but you can sort of
Next release.
yeah, next release. But you can sort of move them up and down at the same time. There's also stuff that you could do like format all the cells and like oh this is definitely like new. So the you can do like Command B and Command H, like all the shortcuts you would use for a normal cell. They also work on multiple cells at the same time now. I think I don't know if maybe that got added like right now. Delete cells is that this doesn't have a shortcut yet? I think does it?
I think it is. It does.
Command D? No.
I don't remember, to be honest. We could look it up.
Yeah, let's do it. So in moments like this, you hit Command K and then you go to shortcuts, show keyboard shortcuts. And hopefully we can, hopefully we didn't forget to add it here. Delete cell is Shift Backspace. So if I were to do this, Shift Backspace. Yep, there we go. All got added, and I can still do undo with Command Z, so then the cells aren't thrown away. But these are a bunch of like great navigational features. People have been asking about this for a long time. People include me, so I'm super duper happy with this. But this is now also something that works. I think in general we are going to aim towards just keeping the latest version of Marimo up to date with molab as well going forward.
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah,
Or maybe wait for like a day or something like that, but not a week.
yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, fun fact, this is called a modal editor, not to be confused with Modal, our current cloud provider that we are building on.
That's definitely true. But the one thing that I also want to just highlight, like, so you get the base Marimo experience and it works in the notebook, so that's definitely great. But a few things aren't exactly the same just yet, right? So we don't have access to your local file systems. There's a few things that are different, and to sort of make you feel at home right away, we did add this one extra feature. What we have here is a chat, just like just like you're used to. But for the time being, you don't have to provide a key. We will provide one for you. So if you are interested in doing some AI development, as long as the credits last, you can just use a AI agent that we are paying for. I don't like. We're not going to make any promises for how long, I think, right? But
it's
like
pretty
for the time,
cheap too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but for the time being, you can definitely talk to your AI here with your Arch Content. So you can say something like, "Make me a Fibonacci sequence generator." That's like the hello world of this LLM stuff, right? So there you go. It starts generating, and lo and behold, we should be able to just add that to the notebook. Should be able to run it. Oh, right. And there's small things that we still have to fix, but it still saves a whole bunch of time. So that we can run that. And then in the cell above, we have to...
we have to announce molab in the cell.
Yeah, so the clipboard is full of other stuff, but we should be able to now... There we go. We now have a slider that got generated, and we can paste that in. We can run it. And, we can maybe... just show this, right? And we can make the number smaller. We can see stuff update. This just got generated by an AI. So the chat mode works, which is a really cool feature. And the other mode that we also support right away, if you are in a cell and you hit Command-Shift-E, that's the AI sort of debugger, if you recall. Like that's the thing that you can use to just change the code in that one cell. This works. The only thing that we don't have connected yet is the auto-completion. That's something we currently don't do. But the editing on a specific cell, editing via chat, those are the two ones that you do get for free right now. Did I forget anything with the AI stuff? I think this is everything people gotta know, right?
Main one, yeah.
Great. There's some people talking in the chat, and Trevor Mance is reminding me that Shift Backspace was indeed the shortcut that we were interested in. Great.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you, Trevor. Anyway, so this is a notebook that's currently running. What you can now do is you can go back, kind of go to the overview, and let's just refresh this page.
It's untitled. So scroll to the bottom of your notebooks. There's a little section for untitled notebooks.
That's the one. Yeah. So this is another reason why you do want to assign a name. The one thing I did want to mention is that you can go to the settings here. And again, we are paying for the compute right now, so it's not necessarily going to be a huge burden, but it would be a good idea that if you're done with the notebook, that you then shut down the instance. That is something that is in general a pretty good practice. So one thing, like we do allow for still notebooks for a little bit, right? Like I think we have, like if I were to start a notebook and I don't touch it for a while, I think
Yeah, there's
we
an
let it
idle time, maybe like 15 minutes or
15
so.
minutes or so.
Yeah.
Do we have a max time on these things?
I believe it's 1 hour for now, session time,
Yeah,
1 hour. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So which is definitely
We're playing
reasonable.
with that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. But I
like
mean,
the
the
main.
main
You go ahead.
Riverside, like,
Yeah,
I was just gonna say the main thing, that we hope this unblocks is that like many people, so we have like the WebAssembly notebooks already, right, with the
yeah.
Minima Playground, and that's great. It's snappy, but like you can't run PyTorch there, and like you can't run some LLM provider APIs there, like OpenAI. I think for a while at least didn't work. So like this actually lets you create notebooks using any modern machine learning AI framework and like get a shareable link, just like Colab. And then notebooks are like public but undiscoverable by default. So just like something to be aware of, like don't paste your API key in the text of the notebook, for example.
Yeah, in general, don't do that. But
In general, but especially here, don't blame
yeah,
us if that
especially on
happened.
like a cloud thing. Yeah, so so you've been warned. Um, yeah, and so the thing that I wanted to show, like I prepared a couple of notebooks, and the general theme of all of these notebooks is that these are things you can't do in WebAssembly, and that even though that might be counterintuitive, there's actually like a the surface area of subtle things that don't work in WebAssembly does demonstrate like how far WebAssembly has come with PyDite and stuff. Like it's still like a very impressive body of work, but there are like so many of these subtle things that actually don't quite work just yet, and they will actually work here, and they will also work with very little compute resources. So the first example I wanted to show is this Polar's bot detection example. If you've been watching like some of our live streams, it's about a data set that we've definitely seen before. Um, but what I'm going to do beforehand is there's a little thing that I've got access to because I'm an admin. So I just want to mention like this thing over here. This is something that I have access to that allows me to take a notebook and to maybe give more or less resources. So what I'm just going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and give this guy like the lowest tier of resources imaginable. So I'm going to hit save and restart. This notebook's going to restart. So just to make sure, like we've got a gig of RAM, like have a CPU, right? So this isn't like a big box of VM or anything like that. We're gonna run this, and let's also just zoom out just a little bit. And the cells are like running when I hit this button over here. So what I'm doing here is I'm downloading a Parquet file that's hosted on GitHub. Then I'm loading it in with Polars. This file is, not huge, but it's also not small. It's got like 36 million rows or something like that. So that's like, you know, a CSV file. This would be like kind of like a gigabyte, but with Parquet, it's a bit cheaper. We're doing the analysis. The pipeline is running right now. And the way to think about it, there's like a bunch of pre-compute that needs to happen. We're doing sessionization on server logs, but in the end, what we're doing is we're taking that sessionized data and then we're filtering out bots by saying like, look, some users just have a session that is way too long. Let's filter that out. And I've got a little slider. Things move up and down, and this is like relatively snappy, I would say. This is on half a CPU. I have to stress this is like 30, like millions upon millions of rows. And the subtle thing here is that twofold when you're dealing with a slightly bigger data set on your demo, you can't really do that in WebAssembly. There's like a maximum file size, and then it just starts becoming a little bit uncomfortable. And Polars, even though there's some support for WebAssembly, if you want to have the latest version of Polars, they actually have an upstream issue such that they can't compile to WASM anymore. So Polars in general, it is just a thing that for the time being runs so much nicer, like on a like normal old school server box basically. But with half a CPU and like 1 gig of RAM, which isn't a whole lot of compute, you can just do like analysis as you're used to basically. This is pretty much the same speed I would get on a normal laptop. The only difference is that for now, you do have to download the dataset first. That's the only sort of difference here. So yeah,
Pretty impressive.
yeah. I mean, so again, like the demo here is Polish is great. Like it's not necessarily,
Thank you, Polars.
yeah, it's mainly a thank you Polars thing. Um, and again, like I think in this particular case, because the data set fits in memory, right? We can do all this in memory. You can also use a lazy frame instead if you really want to keep the memory to low, basically. So that's also something to kind of keep in mind. But Polars is definitely like a really great candidate for doing stuff in molab. And again, Polars does pretty okay in WebAssembly, But for stuff that's just a little bit more serious, I've always found that this was a reason why I wanted to have molab. It's basically because I like polars. Um, so yeah, that was the first demo. And I think the second demo that will be fun to show, and I'm gonna like quiz you a little bit on this because I think you might not know the answer to this one. But I've built this sort of vector search thing on top of polars. So what I'm doing is I'm doing things with text embeddings, and I'm doing something with vector similarity, and I've kind of built a query engine. And the question for you is going to be, why would this not run in WebAssembly? So
I was not anticipating a pop quiz.
yes, yes. Well, I'm chairing the show, so like I get to do what I
Okay.
want, right? So what the code does is there's this library I made called SimCity, and let's zoom in on the code just a little bit. So SimCity is basically just a wrapper around polars. We have a thing that we want to embed, and next to that is a vector, and we just do brute force vector lookups. For things that are like 50,000 rows or so, this is perfectly fine. It's actually faster than a lot of non-brute force approaches. I have a bunch of recipes, so these are like titles of recipes, and I'm embedding that using this model to vec model. Basically, it has a very similar API to what you might have in sentence transformers, but the thing that makes it kind of special is that it's actually doing a extreme distillation technique. So instead of having a big BERT model, what it actually does is it basically turns a BERT model, each and every single token in the BERT model, into a word vector. And turns out that this is actually quite performant, mainly because you are so much faster. Like it's a 20 megabyte bundle, and it's all word vectors, so nothing has to sort of tensor through. We can just sort of ram it in, and we get vectors out quite cleanly. This does not work in WebAssembly, and can you come up with a reason why?
I have no idea.
So we're not using sentence transformers here. Like that's kind of a key observation. So we're not reliant on PyTorch. The vectors come out of NumPy. So that's
is
not
it cores? Is it cores? The from pre-trained, like loading an external
nope. So that also works. So that's also the bit that's not complaining. You could download those vectors manually yourself with like a wget or like a URL lib or something like that.
Okay,
but also, people in the audience, can you guess why this doesn't work? And it's a surprising reason, but it's also like another one of those reasons why a lot of things won't work in WebAssembly for the time being. It's the tokenizer. So the BERT model uses a tokenizer because we need some sort of system to generate those tokens. Typically, that's done by a library that's written in Rust. That's very bespoke and specific. And if that library is not compiled for running in the WASM land, then you're also dead in the water. So even this library that really relies on word embeddings that are stored in NumPy and like that's the core of what it does. The most lightweight embedding library will not run in the most lightweight Python environment because again, Rust binary needs to compile. So there you go. Also, very small resources what you need, but you do need it in a proper Python backend. And what you can then do is you can just whip up some things together in Marimo. I can do something with meat and like fun trick. If you set debounce to false on like a text input, and you just have a brute force thing, pork meat, and then there we go.
That's pretty fast.
It is. Again, brute force, if you just have 10,000 examples, will just do totally fine. And again, I really like having some demos like this, just be able to run on the internet. And it's, as you say, dang quick, and you often don't need that many resources as well. That's also just a big lesson.
Very cool. Even the network latency is not that noticeable. That's cool.
Let's go for like vegetable surprise. Yeah, so like let's just have a look. So this is, it says 3 milliseconds right now. If I do backspace, it says 3 milliseconds. Yeah, it never really reaches above 3. But this is the 3. But this is the 3 milliseconds I get. So this does not include network latency actually. No. Yeah. So.
But still, to my eyes, it's fast. Which is
it is. And I guess like Modal also has like, I don't know to what extent we configured it, but I think Modal has like, they've got a thing in Europe, right? So there's some clever stuff we could do to also make the latency kind of smooth, but still, this is kind of the same demo as with the Polars one. Like people sometimes forget you don't need a big machine anymore for a lot of these things. We've gotten quite good at like the compile step. But anyway.
Very cool.
This is Model Effect, by the way. They're Dutch people, so like I always want to high five a Dutch project. So a little bit of bias there. It's a cool project though. Like there's definitely a trade-off between inference time and like accuracy and all that, but they just go for the extreme distillation route. So for demos like this, where you want to maybe highlight, I I know, like UMAP and stuff like that. It's also like a great choice. So
Speaking of highlighting UMAP like things, I wanted to try something and
you
see
had
if it's
one, right?
fast.
Yes, you
Yeah,
had.
yeah.
Is it
It might be
examples,
the.
right?
It is,
This one.
but go up. Yeah, but go to the running notebook or, yeah, that.
That's
Oh,
that's the bot detection one.
oh, sorry. You're right. No, no. Go to the examples.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because this one's yours, right? I think using the
uh,
one. No, not that one. This one.
that one.
Embedding
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Try it. I want to see. So we mentioned in the blog post that one thing we have is a persistent cache or a persistent storage. So just run everything.
Hmm.
I want to see if
Oh
this is
yeah.
already warm.
It might not be because this is the first time I'm. He said it depends a bit on if you were running this, but we'll see.
Dylan ran it recently, I think. Nice.
This is
Okay,
pretty
so
quick. This is pretty quick.
this is the one I wanted to show
Yeah.
because see that compute embedding function there?
Yeah. Let's
That
go.
single innocuous line.
So can
That
I?
w-
Yeah. I think what I'm able to do is hit Command click, right? Oh no, we need a setting for that. Never mind. But I
so
need to
like
go
that
this one.
would
There we go. Compute embedding. That's using a library that someone made.
yeah,
This one.
yeah, well, one that I made. But
Yeah.
that's besides the point.
Yeah.
What I wanted to talk about is that function. If you were to just call it like, if it were to actually execute, it would take like 30 seconds to like a couple minutes. This is like embedding mnist on like some
Hmm.
manifold. But the cool thing is if you go back to where it was called,
Was it this one, right?
yeah, so we're using here Marimo's built-in persistent cache feature, which Dylan implemented, which stores the result of whatever's in that with block. So in this case, the embedding to disk. And so actually, when Vincent, when you open this notebook, like we skipped execution of the cell entirely and just loaded it from disk, which is why it's really fast. So like if you go to the file browser on the left,
That'd be this one. Yep.
open it, yeah, open the Marimo underscore. So you see there's a
Cache.
cache there, and there's the
Ooh.
embedding. And so this is like really good for demoing too, like or just like for your own work. Like you can kind of pick up where you left off, even if the notebook's shut down.
Yeah, and it's a pickle too, so it's pretty general in terms of the Python objects that we can store there. So that's also something
Mm-hmm.
I would argue is kind of nice. This is something we would store on R2 on the Cloudflare side, I think, internally. For that's attached to this notebook, right? If I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. Right now, I think though, if someone else forks your notebook, I think we
Yeah, don't we throw it
partially even for
away?
security, we'll throw it away. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
either
But
stored on R2 or a modal volume. I don't remember. One of the
yeah,
two.
it's oh, and it's an implementation detail, so that's more of an
Yes.
internal thing, I suppose. But we store it somewhere. But the thing that's kind of nice about this particular one is then because we have the embeddings and because they're 2D, you can immediately like do your selection thing over here, and then that updates, I think, a visual
Yeah.
thing down below. And if I were to go a little bit more into app mode here, then you can really kind of delight your users in the sense that like, okay, no need to do any of that. Oh, calculate the embedding thing because this is just already ready, which is nice. And what's more, suppose that you were to add a slider, I don't know, for like hyperparameters maybe to that thing over here. Like there's a couple of constraints here, but I'm sure there's like let's say this was UMAP, there's hyperparameters. We would also be able to cache for like different hyperparameters, which also just
Mm-hmm.
kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a limit on the disk space per notebook?
TBD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please don't break it.
Yes. Yes.
We try to play nice and give you lots of space. I don't know if we have a limit. Something
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll find out by the end of this week on a Friday. But yeah, this is also like a good point. Like and also actually notice that's also a thing to point out. Notice how we were very quick, even though we imported Torch here, right? It's also something to point out.
Mm-hmm.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we have like a kind of an assumption like these are the main libraries that people care about. Scikit-learn's
Yeah.
in there, NumPy, Matplotlib, Polars, like you know the people that if you watch our stuff, you will know what libraries we like. Torch is, I believe, also in there, and we update this somewhat regularly.
Yep.
But if you were to maybe do something exotic, like I don't know, import memo, which is this library I wrote 5 years ago that I never really use anymore. But if I were to do this, then suddenly we are detecting that, hey, something needs to be installed. We can actually install it with extras. That's also a nice UI thing. But typically, if you're doing like average data science, data engineering work, you shouldn't even see that pop up here.
Mm-hmm.
Also good to mention. Yeah, I think this is all. Let me just check if people are asking questions. There is also the Pi project. The notebook upload size is small. We are increasing it after this demo. Okay, so Miles is also watching. Uh, good to know. Cool. So I think there was like I was also kind of thinking like what might be some other good demos to just kind of show. So one
Uh,
thing yeah.
I was just gonna say maybe it's obvious, but should we show people how they can share their notebook with a link? I
Oh,
mean,
that
I
might be
get
good. Yeah, that
yeah.
might be good. Let's share. Let's do the polars one at this point. So when you hover, so you don't see there's some stuff that's hidden, but like you have a cog here that you can click for like settings, and then you can choose to duplicate, shut down, open the notebook, things like that. But there is also this guy over here, this link icon. That's the one you were thinking of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's click that. It says the link has been copied to the clipboard.
And then yeah, incognito, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So right now I'm this.
Oh, you're
If
not
I
incognito. You're
no,
dark mode.
I'm exactly. I was in dark mode. So this is now in cognito mode. And what we can see here is a preview, right? So
Yeah.
this looks like the thing that ran. There's markdown as being rendered, right? But if I were to try to make an edit, I think I'm not able to. And if I were to change the slider, I would also imagine we get a pop-up appear. So you get a pretty good representation of what the notebook is, what kind of stuff you can, expect in it. But if you really want to run this, there's this fork and run button. You click that, then you log in. It's forked, and then you can work from your own workspace. Any other detail? Like,
No, that's basically it. And like just as a we mentioned it once, but as a friendly reminder, your notebooks are
yeah.
public, undiscoverable by default, but public. So the link is what makes it discoverable. Should you share it out?
Another thing that would be good to maybe mention, like another thing you can also do, if I'm not mistaken, right? So if I were to go to the cog here, yeah, there's a download button. So you can also download this locally if you want. But you might also have a notebook that, I don't know, lives on GitHub, let's say. For those moments, we've also got this. You can upload a notebook, but you can also just link to anything on GitHub. We accept Python files or IPython notebook files. You can just put the URL in here. The conversion automatically happens. And this is also a way for you to share notebooks. If at some point you just say, look, I've got them on my GitHub, people can just copy them from there. That is also something that will just go ahead and totally work. Something to always keep in the back of your mind. Finally, anything else about this interface? I mean, one thing that's also kind of nice is that you got the ability to search, right? So if you are good at like naming things, then if in this case I'm doing a polars demo here, so like add the name polars, and then you're able to search through it. Have a good name always helps. I guess the next thing I kind of want to show off is just there are some things that are just a little bit more convenient to do in Marimo in general than in other notebooks. And this PyTorch demo, I think, is a nice example of that. This is a PyTorch demo, so this is a somewhat larger demo. If I'm not mistaken, this is also a demo that's in column mode. So we're going to wait for this thing to render. There's like a little brief moment when we have to connect, but this is a system that has 2 columns attached. And what I'm just going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to zoom out, and I'm just going to say this is a PyTorch demo. And so you can imagine that we're going to do something with a loss function. And let's see what happens if I hit this run all cells button. So stuff is going to load. And, I'm importing a bunch of stuff here, right? So this is the first thing. It's going to take a small while. And I do have to install this one dependency. This is one that we might want to add to the base package I'm actually reminded of right now, but this thing will be done soon enough. This is a package I made, and we're going to see in a moment what it does. It's a AnyWidget library. And it does something that I think is kind of fancy the moment that it's done downloading. Let me see where is it being imported. It's being imported here.
We've been talking about adding support for like streaming the console logs when packages install, so you can see
Yeah.
the progress.
But speaking of progress, so the cell on the left over here is running, and it's causing this chart to update. And I'm going to explain in a moment how this works, but this is something that Marimo is like really good at. It's kind of surprising in terms of, oh, I can update this one cell from some other place. And I'm not even doing anything super fancy with state or anything like that, but let me just zoom in here. What I've got here is basically a standard PyTorch loop, and I'm training a very, very silly function. I'm trying to learn the identity function in PyTorch here. So like in terms of demos, this is like not the most useful thing to do in PyTorch, but I didn't have to load any data sets. That made it easy. But the main thing is just kind of interesting is I've got this widget over here from the MoFresh library. This is an any widget. Because this is an any widget, it kind of lives in a separate loop than the rest of Marimo. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to say, like, look, change the source of that widget to this. And this loss chart is a Python function. I think I've got it defined over here. This Python function will generate a matplotlib chart, and if you add this one decorator, it's going to change that matplotlib chart into a base64 representation that we could then just go ahead and attach to any browser object. So this is just a container for an image, and by just doing this from this cell, I'm able to say, look, update whatever container we like. So that's the MoFresh library. But the nice thing about that is what it also means that you can come up with these notebooks where you are going to do some training, and every time that you run the training, we also have like an actual interactive chart to look at. So you can do more than just look at print statements or like callback functions or stuff like that. You can actually see interesting stuff happen in a line chart. So there's these moments when suddenly it's learning something and the slope suddenly goes down. This is also kind of the experimental stuff that you can do in Marimo quite easily. And it's
You can
also
build your own
against
tensor board.
it's kind you can that's the thing, like you can start thinking about like, hey, what things really matter, and building your own tensor board is actually just kind of a normal thing now. So that's definitely something I'm also just looking forward to. um Hint, there's a feature maybe hidden around here somewhere that I'm gonna maybe not mention just yet, but like something that is in the works. Maybe people saw it. But this is also like I think something kind of nice, fun, and unique. You can also kind of come up with these kind of demos that are just a little bit more interactive. Maybe they require PyTorch, and PyTorch is also like one of those things that will just never really. It's not going to WebAssembly well anytime soon, just because it's such a big library.
How close are the off diagonals to 0? It's totally irrelevant.
So did I nerd snipe you into like training the identity functions?
I'm just curious, how close are the off diagonals to 0? Like, is it like a 6? Never mind. You don't have to show me. I can do this in the privacy in private. Like,
yeah, I mean, we can. I might do a live stream on this. So training the identity function for PyTorch is actually one of the harder things to ever do within neural network.
yeah, okay.
And it's like good. There's like fun theoretical reasons why that's the case, actually. But besides the point, we have updating charts. That's cool. And again, and also like people like I just want to like emphasize this. Having a notebook where I can sort of scroll around in 2 dimensions is also just kind of useful, because you can have like one column that is very much a boilerplate, and this other column is very much like the main thing that's important. And you can also just swap the columns around if you want to. So like it just gives you a little bit more of a mental freedom kind of a feeling. So we're almost close to my final demo, and after that we have a demo that was submitted to us today, which is also a fun one. Let me actually forgot what the other demo was. So I have my polars one, the embedding one, vector search one.
You had an any widget one.
Yeah, there's a different custom widgets. That's also something I just kind of wanted to show. So this is also one of the example notebooks that everyone can have access to. I think if I hit play here, we have to wait for the runtime first, of course. So let's just do that. Oh, actually, okay. Small detail. I want to brag about a PR that I made as we restart this. So I have RSI issues. Some people might have seen my other YouTube channel where I do these ergonomic keywords things. Like I have pretty serious RSI issues. And one of the things that really helps me is this one shortcut from this app called Home Row. And what I can do is I can just hit this one key, and then anything that's clickable on display will get these letters to pop up. So in this case, right, like, oh, I do want to install that, and I don't want to use the trackpad. I hit this one button, and then if I type, it says A and G over there. If I type A and G, it's going to simulate the mouse click at that location. And as of the new version of Marimo, I added a bunch more places where this actually works. So these used to be old divs. They are now actual buttons. So the software can detect that those are clickable elements. That is also something you can do for molab, by the way. So if you are like you don't need a fancy keyboard like this, by the way, to do any of that. You can just get a normal MacBook. You just download the Home Row app, or like there's things on Linux as well. But we definitely made it a little bit more ergonomic and also a little bit more accessibility friendly, if that makes sense. So even if we haven't gotten around to adding a shortcut for a thing yet, you can add your own by just using software like this. It's do explore it.
Cool.
Yeah, do explore it. It's definitely fun stuff, and it's also like we make lots of these Go follow us on YouTube on our YouTube Shorts because that's where we highlight some of these features that might otherwise get forgotten. But yeah, these accessibility features, they do matter, and we do like working on them. I think these will also work on any widgets if we add like proper clickable elements. We'll see that in a moment. So, what's the deal with this demo? Well, this demo contains a lot of the fancy any widgets out there. So this notebook really just exists. So we have a few things from Wiggly stuff, from Draw Data, but basically the whole goal is to have one notebook that just shows off what any widget can do. The first any widget, which I'm sure people have seen before, is, oh yeah, we can actually see that these things are clickable, which is nice. So I can, in this case, I do also use a trackpad, so I can draw me a data set, I can hit the shortcut, and I can change the color, maybe, draw a different color over here. There's something you can draw. You can reset this thing, and you can doodle. That's something you can totally do. And as you doodle, the chart below will update, and that's kind of the whole point of this widget. You're able to draw stuff, and then cells would automatically update as a result. Draw data is a thing that you can use for that. There's also tools that allow you to draw edges, so you're able to sort of click some edges together, and then the graph, the JSON for it is also something that's represented. I think, did I accidentally? Oh, there's an error over here. Let's just quickly see if that's something we can fix. Can't detect Wiggly stuff.
Oh, you know what? Go to the. There might be a command palette. Do run all cells. Like sometimes I think in this notebook I've
Run all cells.
just rerun all cells.
Yeah, run all cells is the thing we want. Yeah,
I
so
think it didn't detect the package installation for some reason.
Rerun all cells. Yeah, the play button was still. Yeah. Okay, we'll look into that. We will look into that. Oh, and bunch more widgets appeared. Great. But the whole point is here is just to sort of brag about all the things that you could do, and also that you have something that's easy to fork. If you see something here that you like, you can just fork the notebook. So if you like using maybe a 2D slider, that's not also something that we can brag about. This is easily my favorite one. We've got like matrix elements that you can go ahead and generate, and then this is a covariance matrix together with like a this is covariance. This is average matrix. What's the name of this?
Mean, I think.
The mean, yeah, the mean array. That's the anyway. Lots and lots of widgets, lots and lots of demos, but we also have like this one notebook with more experimental stuff. This was a fun one that also Trevor added like a while ago. We now also have sortable lists where you can add new features into, so you can add like items as you go. But also one of the really cool features of Marimo is that you can just add widgets at will. And to make things better, we are also getting better at generating these widgets on the fly. If you go to the Marimo docs, you're going to find that we're working on prompts such that you can actually use these AI tools to generate features of any widgets as you see fit in line. More about that later, but like that's also something that we're definitely working on. So that's the final. The accessibility notebook will be a good conference talk, says Carol Willing. Working on it. That's actually good. That's actually a good comment. We should brag about that more, maybe, because there are definitely some accessibility features hidden under the hood.
Should we show the Hugging Face demo?
That's the one, right? That's the final thing I do want to maybe show right now. So the thing is that we asked a few people to see if they can maybe also give us a notebook, and some people were very quick.
Thank you, Vibo from Hugging Face.
Yes, thank you very much. So I have not run this notebook yet, so we're gonna get a little bit of a surprise. But what we're gonna try to do is see if we can run state-of-the-art LLMs and image models with Hugging Face inference providers. In this particular case, we don't have any support for environment variables on molab as of yet. So the main way to maybe do things with tokens is to have a UI text element. But the one thing you do always want to set when you're doing this is you want to set it to kind equals password. That way, if you're doing a live stream, you don't accidentally share the key if you're going to copy it in. So that's something that's very important. So I'm going to copy the key, and then I'm going to...
You got to fork and run this.
I got to fork and run this?
This isn't in our workspace. This is in Vibo's.
Fair enough. Then people are also going to see what it's like to fork and run.
It's connecting.
Oh, some people are saying that they were inspired by our shorts and that they wrote a widget. If you're writing widgets, definitely let us know on our Discord. Like, we don't mind to, help you market the thing because we like widgets. Definitely join our Discord for that. And what I'm just going to go ahead and do is make use of our latest feature. I'm going to select everything and then hide everything, because then the markdown is just a little bit prettier.
There's also a command palette hide also hide all markdown.
Hide all markdown and show all mark. Nah, it doesn't work that way. Okay, but more than one way to do it. Totally fine. I am going to open up this guy though. So put in the key. I think this ran without issue. Then we have something over here that's running. So just so people can see what was happening. So we connected to OpenAI via this Hugging Face URL. We're reusing the client from OpenAI, but we are pointing to a different URL. The OpenAI thing is kind of like a standard now. So this is not pointing at OpenAI, just to be clear, but the client is using the OpenAI spec to point to Hugging Face. From there, we've got this client over here where we can say, look, there's a model, Kimi K2. I think this one came out 2 weeks ago. Last week, this is a fairly recent one. And we can send it a message saying, like, explain how to create a command line interface in Rust with arguments. And then below is what we got back. So it says you can create a project, you can add a parser, you have to add something to the cargo.toml file, you can design the interface, you can declare the command line interface. And just to make sure that I'm not lying, we can also say, like, hey, do this in Python with typer. Kind of a good candidate. We hit run again. It takes about a second. Ooh. And again, pip install typer. I would have preferred UV.
Yeah. It looks like Python documentation uses emojis more than Rust does.
Would not surprise me. Especially the typer documentation at that, by the way. But yeah, okay, does a good job. I've heard really good things about this model, and it's great that it's open source as well, by the way. And also nice that you can host it on Hugging Face. But one thing that's really cool about this demo is I can also envision just lots of these demos where, like starting this up locally is like, not necessarily like a huge pain, but you do have to go from like browser to a different app and then type something in a terminal and save a key somewhere. And I can definitely imagine a couple of these scenarios where, someone just provided a really nice notebook and the only thing you got to do is like insert a token somewhere. And especially because we've got UI elements, I can definitely imagine maybe we have a MO chat widget. That's something we can maybe attach to this demo as well. I can definitely imagine more and more providers also sort of seeing this as a nice place to just host demos as well. Already the whole WebAssembly thing was something I used for my own projects. Like if it does WebAssembly, I just put it on GitHub pages and it can definitely do the advanced stuff. But I can definitely also imagine if you're doing more advanced stuff with, say, PyTorch, then this is also like a very nice way to do documentation things.
If you are a provider or
provider of such things
who wants a notebook featured in examples such as Hugging Face has, reach out to us. We'd be down.
Yeah, and you can also imagine, like, in the next week, there are also definitely some other providers that have sent us stuff that we would like to demo as well. Hint, hint, weights and biases. Hint, hint, weights and biases. That's definitely something that will be happening too. Cool. And also, like, if you look at the announcement, I think we've also listed a few other demos as well that people can go ahead and play with right away.
Should we talk about how to run this locally?
As in how to run molab locally, or this notebook locally, or the
notebook. Well, like, so you could click a button and download it, but we snuck something into our CLI that makes it nicer.
Was this the thing you were doing this like when I was sort of downstairs with the family eating? Did you release something special without me knowing? Okay, so what I'm just gonna go ahead and do then is I'm gonna exit full screen on this one, and then just a terminal, I suppose, is something
just
I want
to grab. Terminal is fine. Yeah. So if you've grabbed the notebook URL.
Yeah. So what I'm going to so this is Vincent's terminal. So let's also just zoom in a smidge, and let's then also I'm going to take the last 2/3 for this, clear, and then all right, and then I don't know, like I have this folder here. With like YouTube material, it's something I've got, and then I can do something like source the virtual environment, because then I'm also able to do a UV pip install upgrade Marimo, because I need the most recent version, right?
Internet connect.
That does happen during our live streams now and again. It's unfortunate, but I think we're back. And what I just did is I upgraded Marimo. Yeah, so we're back. Okay, so I just upgraded Marimo. We need the newest version, right? So 0.14.12 is the one that we need.
Sure. Yes.
I think that definitely feels good. And now I should be able to do UV. I should just be able to call Marimo here. So Marimo, and then what's the command?
Marimo edit, and then just
Ah,
paste the URL of the notebook.
okay. So just like this, it's hosted on a
And
remote
then
server.
that's your choice. You know this code is fine. So
Yeah. So in general, so this is a so let's talk about this a little bit. So um, stuff from the internet, maybe not the best thing to run. So let's put it in a Docker container. Doesn't fix everything, but it sure fixes a few things. One thing about that though is that we do make an assumption on the port number that is available. So something to keep in the back of your mind. You might need to open up a port number in hindsight. In general, I do advise people read the thing before you actually run it. That's the main advice. But for demo purposes, let's just not run it inside of a Docker container. And let's just trust that this works.
hey, there's the code.
There's some code. Let's actually run the thing. The startup was lazy, and what I can
Running
do,
on localhost. Very nice.
yeah, local host, so that's good. And let's just copy in the key over here. That also feels pretty good, and stuff starts to run. Okay, and it's talking about typer. This time though, no emoji. So, it's not all emojis everywhere. People.
I see. Okay.
Not the issue, but definitely a nice feature. I think the remote edit thing, does that work with like text links in general?
GitHub URLs.
Yeah, GitHub
GitHub
URLs
gists, I think.
just as well. I think we also did like raw URLs, if I'm not mistaken.
It's possible.
Same Docker story though. Like we don't randomly trust stuff from the internet. But yeah, what we're kind of hoping for is that this encourages people to also share a little bit more. Like one thing you can also do, suppose that you've got a notebook that's a little bit heavy to run, but you don't want to like suffer the compute consequences of hosting that for the entire internet. You can also just host it up on molab, and then people can fork it and run it on their own. And then that's then also like a nice sort of separation of concerns that we can introduce here. Again, it is for the time being free compute, so go ahead and use it. It will probably not be that forever until the end of the internet. No promises on that front, but definitely is now. Same with the AI stuff. So if you just want to do a little bit of vibe coding in a notebook, that's something you can totally do on us.
As long as compute usage is reasonable,
Yes.
and
Yeah. So
we can give it away for free.
we
And
have some guardrails.
We're talking with other cloud providers too, and we're working with Modal to see, um, if we can't.
They've been good pals. Like, and
They've been good pals.
Yeah, and they like what we're building, and we like their service. So there's like things to like. There's one thing I do think will be good to maybe mention up front, because we're also like building a sort of larger plan, strategic product thing. This is not that. This is something
Yes.
This is not on. This is something we're building on the way. We were just very inspired by the #1 feature request on Google Colab. That's kind of the main
Yes.
the main
This
way
is
that
not
this.
a commercial product. This is for our community.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
by the way, speaking of, we were inspired by the feature requests, and also I think Eric Zhang deserves a shout out because he came by San Francisco one day last month. I think
It was a
last
random
month.
thing.
Yeah, he was in town for the SF Systems reading group, which he hosted, which I attended, and then he came by the office that I work out of, and he was like, Akshay, let's hack on Marimo running on Modal, and then so I texted Miles like, Miles, you want to do this? And Miles was like, I'm down. So Miles and then Dylan and Eric all hacked on it, and so thank you Eric for kickstarting this.
And then, due to the magic of sort of time travel and time differences across time zones, I woke up going like, "What happened here?"
It's been fun.
It's been a fun thing. And one thing is, I suppose, also good to mention, like, we're pretty confident that this works and this is great. Like, that's why we're launching on a Friday. But it is early software, so if you find like a weird bug there, definitely just let us know. Join our Discord. And then, not that we're optimizing for this, but I think there's this website, HN, something Hacker News. It's a website sometimes people like to go to. And if you go to new, and if you were to sort of type F like show.
Are we still there?
Are we still there? Oh, we're not. Okay. We're here somewhere. Are we on the front page? That would be fun. Nah, we're not. We're not.
No.
Okay. If you wake up maybe tomorrow and there's like something you can click on, feel free to click on it. No worries if you don't, but just wanted to mention it. honestly though, I think we're mainly just curious what people are going to do with this. It's again not the main product. It's something we're interested in building along the way, but it's definitely like also a learning opportunity because we can sort of also get an impression of like, hey, how do people like to use these Marimo services if they're more a cloud thing, and also like I guess a final thing. So there again, there's this button that I have access to, right? That I showed. So let's just go to this one. You can also call us if you have a need for a notebook with like a little bit more CPUs or RAM. That is also something you can reach out for.
Or GPUs, we may as well say it.
Yeah,
If you feel
fine.
like you need a GPU, get in touch with us.
So I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to hover over some weird abbreviations here. We're just T4 A100, like droids from Star Wars. Who comes up with these? Anyway, so there's definitely like some of that. So also, that even though this is not like the main product we're working on, what we're also not saying is that we're done with this. We're also going to iterate on this thing, obviously, right? So there's definitely going to be improvements here, maybe related to some of the resources that we just mentioned, but there's also other things we're interested in. Like building on top of this. It feels like something that should exist, which is why we built it. Any other like thoughts? Like maybe, oh, we're number 50 on Hacker News now. Okay, so we'll scroll one page.
Well, that's not bad.
Okay, fine. We're actually gonna go there now. Like, oh, there's yeah, people. Okay, so Hacker News, the main site. Can we? If I hit more, molab. I don't see it on number 50 on my side. It might just be because I'm in Europe, but
oh, and maybe it's actually on the show tab.
oh, that's a category thing as well.
Right? I don't see it there either. I don't know.
Okay. If you have to pick between actually giving Marimo a spin online or upvoting a thing on Hacker News, we would much rather you just give Marimo
Please give it a spin.
Yeah, just give that a spin. Oh, 50 on new, not on main. Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, so let me just check. So there were a bunch of questions, but I've noticed like some of our colleagues have already been there and like answering questions and stuff, and they've been on top of things from what I can gather. So I think yeah, I guess this kind of wraps it up. So then I guess the final question, like obviously me and Akshay are gonna like talk after. So like Akshay, like can we soon maybe, right?
During one-on-one topic.
Yeah, one-on-one topic. So this will be the one-on-one we're gonna talk about next week. Cool. Final, I guess like a final shout out. I am definitely also interested in like we're gonna do some live streams again this summer. We also have a couple of guests lined up that will be fun. If people have good ideas, definitely let us know. And one thing that I'll also just be doing is I'll be kicking the tires on this molab thing as well. So you can definitely expect some of the newer demos that we build. They are just going to be hosted here. So you can also just easily fork them. We've got a GitHub repo, which has been serving us quite well, but we're also going to move some of those things slowly onto here. And you know, we'll see where it goes. That's also the name of the game.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other promises we want to declare to the world at this point?
I think there are a lot of promises. No,
Yeah,
I'm happy with these.
These are pretty good. Okay, nice. So then, yeah, we'll be back with some more announcements pretty soon as well. Thanks for listening, everyone. And I have now, after clicking around, found the end stream button, so I'm going to go ahead and click it. But have a great weekend, and see you again soon. Thanks for listening. Okay. And probably these last few seconds are also recorded, but I think